simple calculation. Okay, so blood pressure. So you can see that swing, right? So when you pull the plunger out, what are you doing to the inside, the volume? Yeah, no, your inside, the volume increases versus when you push it in, right? So the volume inside. So if the volume increases, pressure decreases. Volume and pressure are oppositely related. Volume increases, pressure decreases. This applies to your blood also. So when you see here, the volume decreases when you push the plunger down. So you have something, whatever air. Here you suck the air in because the pressure is low compared to the outside. Here, when you push, the volume decreases, pressure increases. Okay, that's all they are trying to show you there. So these are opposite related. Right? So the gradient of the pressure, the way it is in the vessel, it determines the blood flow. So it affects blood pressure. How it affects, we will do it in the next couple of chapters. So you have those numbers, systole, diastole. Those are the magic numbers those guys use, not me. So this is not written in stone. Some people can handle more pressure with age. It's higher, and some people naturally can stand more pressure than others do, the average people. And some, especially women, have lower blood pressure too, in general speaking. So, and also if you go to Google and Google for blood pressure variation during the day, you'll get a couple of links. One is from Harvard. So you will see that the fluctuation, the ups and downs, it's never 120, 80, only certain times of the day is close to perfect. Always is off somewhere. We are all in the homeostatic range, right? So if you go, say, 11 a.m., morning around 5, everybody's blood pressure is high, around 11, evening 5. So there are certain times. If you want the actual times, you may want to Google and get that chart. There's normal blood pressure fluctuations during the day, because those are the times you don't want to have your doctor tell you you should take a prescription, because anyway your pressure is high, and if you miss the appointment, if you're late, if you ran a flight of steps, your pressure is going to be high, right? So the ideal way you can measure pressure is by taking average readings over a number of times, or several times in a day, morning, afternoon, evening, night, and over a week, and get your own data if at all you think you have high blood pressure. Okay, and the mean tells you that there is something, if it is consistent, and all of that. So that's very important. So we need a blood pressure monitor, right? So, but earlier days they didn't have that. So what they used was your Swigmo Nano needle. One with a cup. That's the best even today. More accurate than others. For others, give a ballpark idea where your blood pressure is. Next page. You can see what we saw in the video in the beginning, like when the ventricles, atria, when they contract, where the blood is with reference to each other. So when the ventricles contract, which way the blood flows, when the atria contract, which way the blood flows. And your heart does make sounds, okay? So if you sleep like this, you can hear. If you don't have a step, next time you can try. One day I heard and I woke up. Puffed up sound. They call it S1, S2. In babies, they hear another sound, S3. So there are three sounds. The way you listen to the heart sounds or any internal organs, we call it auscultation. Percussion is tapping. Okay, just by listening is auscultation. Go to page 752, 32, figure 1920. This is a summary page. Like in the digestive system, we had one page in the end. So this summarizes all that you have learned so far as to what is happening, when it's happening from left to right. So you have the aortic, the systolic, diastolic pressure. You can see the volume, the EKG curve that corresponds to the contraction, relaxation, and when you hear the sounds, the S1, S2. With reference to which phase the cardiac cycle is in, when the blood is in the atria, ventricles. So take some time. Once you have understood, you can go to this page, see if it all comes together, if it makes sense. Next, we are going to do some calculation on the cardiac output, one more page. So cardiac output, how can you determine? Cardiac output tells you, if you read under cardiac output, the first paragraph, okay, next to the word cardiac output, is the amount of blood that is pumped in a minute by heart. So you keep on doing this for a minute, your average 75 beats in a minute, okay, that's your cardiac output. How much amount of blood in milliliters per minute? So we don't know yet. You know, you can see the book, but how do you calculate that? So how do you calculate something is doing this for a minute? Okay. So first of all, you need to know how much you get from one beat, right? So they call it heart rate. So meaning how many beats per minute? Is that 75 or 70? 75? Brain is still working. And so how many times it beats and how much it beats. So how much it beats for one beat is the volume, stroke volume. They should have said beat volume, but it's stroke volume. They call it stroke. Okay. So how much amount per beat and how many times it beats is the heart rate. So this is about 70, is that right? Okay. So if you multiply that, you get roughly about 50 to 50. It's more than a gallon. Almost a gallon and a half, kind of. So that much you pump every minute. So this is an important thing to know. Cardiac output, how you calculate, what are the factors. So if you want to remember a ballpark, just make it 70 by 70. Okay, but it's good to know those numbers. Then the heart rate, how fast or how slow the heart beats, is affected by naturally and artificially some external internal agents. So they call them chronotropic agents, like a chronometer, right? Chronotropic sort of speed, right? So something make it do faster, something slower. So positive and negative chronotropic agents. But if it beats faster, we call the condition tachycardia, like your tachometer, you're speeding, your heart is speeding, racing. When you brake, slow down, bradycardia, meaning your heart is slowing down, that's bradycardia. So tachycardia, bradycardia, those are Then how does the brain know that your heart is beating or slowing? So I need to bring it back, either reverse the speeding heart or the slowing heart, bring it back up. So there are centers in the brain, in the stem of the brain, in your medulla oblongata. That's your cardiac center. Okay, but the cardiac center only can give the commands, but we need to sense. So the wall of the heart and also the aorta and all, they have sensors. So like some of the cars these days or your phone, the GPS, you put the speed. I mean, if you're driving on the highway, if you overspeed, it goes tum, 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 right? The same thing. So there are sensors on your heart that tell you how fast your heart is beating, or how much is the pressure on the aorta and all. So there are different sensors for different things. So if you look on that page, you see some receptors for proprioceptors, baroreceptors, chemoreceptors. So proprio means mechanical stretch. So you have receptors which act as sensors, which are nothing but neurons, sensory neurons. So proprioceptors, they are mechanical. So when your heart is stretching the ventricles or atria, right, those are sensed. And then you have baroreceptors that sense the pressure in the aorta as it is leaving the heart. There are sensors in the aorta and also the carotids. We will see that later. Baro meaning pressure. Barometer meaning what you use to measure pressure. Then chemo is obvious. So what are we sensing chemo? Usually carbon dioxide levels. Because if you have high carbon dioxide in your blood, it is sensed immediately and makes you breathe faster. So bring more oxygen. That's good. And if you eat too much fat, not the right one, if you don't exercise, if you don't keep yourself moving, you can see the blockage in the arteries, as you can see in the last picture there, figure 1922. So plaque formation. This can also be due to calcium deficit. It's not necessarily fat as it was thought to be. So there are various factors. There is not one thing that can block the coronary arteries. So when it comes to blockage, there are two or three conditions that affect blood vessels. One is, I don't know where it is in the book. You can make a note if you like, or it may be in your other chapters, but I want to introduce you to these terms. Aneurysm, arteriosclerosis, aneurysm rupture, atherosclerosis, blockage. This one, you see what's in the first half of the word? Arterial, right? So hardening, thickening of the wall of the artery. Breakage. There are more conditions. Every chapter at the end they give a table. If you want, you can look at them. I'm not going to test you on them, but get used to those terminology, because when you go to your program, that will give you a jump start, a simple memorization. So I don't want to add to what you already have on your plate. So, and I don't do the clinical aspects. That's for your program. And if I were you, I would have been doing the study guide, the questions in the chapters, not to obviously expect the same way worded questions, but at least you should be testing yourself on a regular basis, like at least am I understanding, am I getting some questions correct, the answers are in the appendix, and you can tweak the questions. The same question can be asked in 5 ways. That's all tests are about, okay? So, some of the tests I may have to leave out some questions, so I will tell you which question, because maybe sometimes I do one chapter for this test or another test. So approximately, if I have 100 questions, you will have at least 80 available questions, and you are going to pick and choose 50 questions, any 50 that you like, 2 points each, okay, 100 points. So those of you who are new to me, on the answer sheet, that's my key. I have all the answers for all the questions. That's your skin tone, so it matches, okay? If it's correct, it leaves it alone. If it's wrong, or even if you skip, it will mark it red, but what it counts is your correct answer. So let's say you did 30 on this side, 20 on the back, you did 50, all they are correct, then add this up, you got 100. Okay, you got 20 correct, 20 correct, both sides, you got 40 correct. Okay. So the advantage for you is you